Bueno, thanks for being here, Daniel. Quick little introduction for anyone watching. Daniel plays bass in Cancer, an amazing death metal band that started a long time ago in United Kingdom, and now they're based out of Spain. And he also plays guitar in Eternal Storm. Daniel, would you like to introduce yourself even more?
I think that's pretty much sums that up because, well, first of all, thanks for having me here, Kevin. It's a huge honor, and wow, you have a pretty cool selection of guitars there. Yeah, like nowadays I mostly play bass in Eternal Storm because, well, when I founded the band, I was the guitar player, but I got a demotion to bass player eventually because our current singer is a better guitar player than I am, and I was like, I don't know, I fancy playing bass a bit more, and here I am now playing bass in the majority of the bands I'm part of.
And for both bands, I don't know what tuning Eternal Storm is. I kind of feel like it's D standard. I haven't learned any material yet, but what tuning do you use for Eternal Storm?
C sharp, yeah,
Okay, so just
yeah,
a
almost.
half step above Cancer tuning.
Yeah.
And uh, I apologize for not watching videos of you playing live and paying attention to your hands, but uh, do you use fingers or pick for both bands, or is each band different than your playing style?
I'm mostly a big player because, I had like a harder attack that way, and I use a lot of distortion, so I really like to have like a more compressed or like a thicker attack. But I also use fingers, and I'm like working on improving like my finger technique and sound. So I mean, it's a combination of both, but mostly pick these days. I use like pretty thick picks and guitars and bass strings as well because I don't know I'm a hard hitter, I would say. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I play bass in quite a few of my projects,
Mm.
and I play with a pick because one, I'm just not good at with my fingers,
Same here.
but I have longer nails on my right hand for classical and flamenco,
Oh,
and I know
nice.
you're from Spain, and I was wondering if you also play flamenco music. Maybe not, but I'm just wondering because
I
you
mean,
play stringed instruments.
I don't have the skills, but like every now and then, like I look at some leaks from I don't know from Paco Lucia or like some classical Spanish musicians, and like it's something I would really like to work into as well. Like like improving like my flamenco and also like acoustic guitar skills because I'm super sloppy, but I love listening to it, and it really I mean, every time you feel a bit cocky, like about your playing, which I'm not at all because I'm super sloppy actually, but you just get an acoustic guitar or anything like that, and you realize how fucking bad you are.
Yeah, no distortion to hide behind.
Yeah,
And speaking of Spanish bands, for me, some of my favorites are Cerebral Effusion from El País
yeah,
Vasco and
yeah.
also Titan Blood. Those are two really sick bands that I want to highlight whenever people say like, "Hey, what's a Spanish band?" But I guess Cancer should be considered a Spanish band now. But before we talk about the Spanishness of Cancer, recommend some bands from Spain.
I mean, there are like a lot of great bands and both active and like some others that they split a long time ago. You can get like of course like Serial Fusion and Titan Blood are good bands and good friends. Of course, Warmed. I mean, what am I supposed to say? I mean,
Yeah.
Gabriel also plays in Cancer and Miguel was a guitar player and I used to manage the band for a few years and they're a fantastic band, like really special and unique. Like maybe I don't listen to much brutal death metal these days, but those guys and Defeated Sanity, uh, I mean, they are the fucking best.
Yeah.
And I have a soft spot for Wormed. I also for Human Minster, which like some of the members used to play in. But I don't know, like there are other bands like Fusco, they're like more like they used to be black metal, but they started like getting a bit more ethereal and dreamy. They're a really good band, great people too. Uh, Alterator, another fantastic band, also including Phlegethon from World. It's like more like Portals, like
Yeah.
dissonant, death metal, super chaotic, but they have like a, I don't know, like a drone-ish feeling in a way. I don't know. There are like a lot of bands, like newer bands, like for instance, Bok from Barcelona. They are like a combination between Coffins from Japan and some
Love coffee.
cyanide. Yeah, you're gonna like that band a lot if you don't know them because Bach, BOCC, they're
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah. I
and
know Primal Ferox.
and I know you played live for Trollcave, which is a sick band
Yeah, yeah.
from Spain as
That,
well. Talk to me about that.
that was fantastic because I've been friends with Marta and with Mark. Mark is like he's a fucking genius. That guy. He's a 25-year-old guy from Barcelona. He plays any instrument you can think of. He is also good like a recording engineer, a mixer, and a graphic designer. He can do anything you want to. Um, yeah, he has several projects like such as Trollcave or Sanctuarium, and I know that they have had like a lot of lineup changes over the years, even if they're like a young band. And one day, like Marta, the guitar player of Trollcave, she uploaded like a poster of some Japanese shows, and I was like, hey, if you ever need anyone for some shows, she's I don't know. I know I live in Madrid and not in Barcelona, but I mean, I'll be up to it because I love the music. I love you guys. Yeah, whatever. And she was like, well, our new guitar player can make it to Japan. I said, well, I've said everything I had to say. And yeah, like, I wish I could have prepared it better because, like, I don't know, I only got to jam once with the band. It took a while to know which songs I was supposed to play. And then I was super busy with work. So I really think that I should have prepared it better. And then on top of that, we went to Japan. We were playing with other instruments. It's like anatomy, and they were like borrowing us some instruments. And my guitar, he had a Kahlers tremolo, but it had like this kind of like it had a different locking nut. It used like different. It didn't have like an alien wrench or anything like that, so I could change the tuning. And like the first two strings, they were like tuned like differently. So and I was playing like all like the leads and the arrangement. So it was like if first of all my on my side things weren't super tight, but then like the tuning wasn't the way it should be, and I couldn't change it, so I was fucking jet lag trying to calculate how did I have to change everything on the spot. So it was like super stressful, but it was overall a great experience. It was like my first time in Japan, and we got to share the stage with a lot of fantastic bands like Undergang, Intestine Valleys, Nora, Grave Infestation, Anatomia, of course. So it was a really, really good experience that I just wish I could have prepared better for that. But I'm thankful that the guys gave me the opportunity, and it was a fantastic experience. And anything they do, I will totally support it. Like Mark has another project called was it oh fuck I just blank Cruz, damn it. I have like he has a funeral doom project which is fantastic, and it's just him, and it's really, really, really good.
Amazing. And I know that Cancer played in China. Were you playing with them when when they went to China?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So
Like
it was two shows, right? One in Shanghai and one in another place.
Tianjin, Tianjin,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, pretty much booked the shows on my own because the thing is that I got with some friends in Great Miasma and Mortiferum, and I saw that they were playing China, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I was like doing some research slash stalking the promoter on Instagram, and yeah, like I talked to the guy, and he turned to be like a cancer fan, and he was like, "Hey, I'd like to print some shirts for you guys in China, whatever." And I was like, "Okay." And then like there seemed to be like pretty good interest, and like all the shirts like sold pretty quickly. I was like, "Hey, why don't we try to arrange some dates there?" Yeah, like the promoter got for he's the singer from the band Multivision. They're like super cool band from China. They're like I don't know, like a mix between Sinota from Mexico and then maybe like Demigod, Demilik from Finland. Super cool stuff. And they book us to shows. They treat us like really, really well. It was a fantastic experience. Like the thing is like if you know like they're getting like a lot more bands these days, but it's still they're not as spoiled that like people in the US or Europe like where you get like death metal shows like pretty much every week. So we kind of take things for granted. But these guys they were like they were like totally vibing it. It was like incredible.
That's awesome for the fans and obviously for you being a
Yeah,
musician
yeah,
traveling to China. Um, and I totally agree. Like we're so spoiled. For example, I live in Denver, Colorado, and when I first moved here in 2015, like you said, like every week there's a sick show, or at least one sick show. Tonight I'm gonna go
yeah.
see Emperor and Wayfarer. So I'm like super privileged, very thankful for musicians and bands wanting to come to the cities nearby and where I live, and also obviously the major cities all across Europe. But speaking of Europe and Cancer, like I said, Cancer is now a Spanish band. Es una banda bien española, muy guay la banda. Um, so how who met whom? Like how did that start? How did you guys get together?
Well, I mean, I've known John, who the for those of you who don't know, he's the original guitar player and vocalist and main songwriter of the band. Like I first met him at 2013, I believe it was, because his wife, they were like booking a show in Madrid, and one of my former bands and the Vultures, we were playing there. So we stayed in touch, and eventually, like a couple of years after that, they have another band together called Liquid Graveyard with Nick Barker on drums. And back then, it was Shane Emery playing bass. So I was I was in the Canary Islands with another band I was playing in, and then I got like a WhatsApp message from Raquel's, John's wife, and she was like, "Hey, Danny, do you play bass? Because Shane Avery's not gonna play live with us, and we thought about you." And I said, "Yeah," and I didn't even own a fucking bass guitar back then, so I fucking lied. And look at me now, like 10 years after that. The joke is on me. I play bass in all fucking bands I am part of right now. So yeah, like this project, I mean, we just play like a couple of shows, like one show every year, something like that. But we got along pretty well. And John knew that that I am a big Cancer fan. So eventually, in March 2022, Ian, the original bass player, and Carl, the drummer of the band, they joined. They left Cancer because I mean they got tired of that, and some of them they had like some health issues during the pandemic, and it was all on good terms. But it's just like I mean, when you're like almost 60 and you maybe don't fancy like traveling 17 hours to play 40 minutes of songs that you've been playing for 30 years. I mean, I can get that. Some people, of course, it can get like repetitive or use kind of lose the spark. But John wanted to continue the band, and since he knew me and I was living in Madrid, and I mean I can speak some English, and of course, as you can tell, I'm not bilingual or anything like that, but it's good for more Spanish, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he was like, hey, I know you like to do that, so would you be up to playing to MDF and join the band full time? Help me find a drummer. And then I knew Gabriel because of Worm and because he had recorded drums as a session drummer from my other band, Eternal Storm. So I knew he was like the perfect fit. So we jumped like twice, I think, like maybe, yeah, like just 3 times. We played MDF. And then we decided to get a second guitar player. We first got Miguel from Worms, and we took it from there. And yeah, then we got Robert last year, and yeah, that's it. Like it was like, hey, let's try to continue the band and let's see what we do. And uh, you can help me with the business side of things because John is a musician. He doesn't like dealing with, I don't know, with booking agents or stuff like that. And I work in the music industry and the production manager of a metal and rock promoter in Spain. So I'm used to doing show advancing or tour managing and how festivals work and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, I can do that. You just continue writing sick riffs and I'll make everything else happen.
Perfect. And speaking about writing riffs, I know he's the principal writer, or does he write all the guitar parts? Do you or any other members bring any guitar parts, or is he just like,
No,
here's the song?
he comes up with all the riffs and everything and the lyrics, but then we arrange the songs together, and he's like super open. I don't know, like he wasn't even in the studio when I was tracking my parts, and he was like cool with whatever sound I wanted to use. he's like pretty open-minded about that. He says like, hey, this is my ideas, let's jam and let's see, we can do like some small things. But after all, those are his songs. It's always been like that. That's why it sounds like Cancer, because it's still John writing it and singing on top of that.
I agree. It definitely sounds like Cancer. I recently learned amputate on the guitar. I'm pretty sure I got it
Yeah,
right.
that was
For the
great. Yeah,
guitar,
yeah, it's tight as fuck, man. Thanks for
thank
that.
you. For the guitar solo, there's this one part they put up. You guys like put on an effect. I don't know what it is. It sounds like a wah wah plus, like a harmonizer maybe.
Yeah, the thing is that Robert, the lead guitar player, he uses a Kemper player, and he has a wah pedal, and he uses a kind of like a whammy pedal.
Uh huh.
So his guitars don't have any whammy bar or anything like that, but he did an harmonic, and like with that he's like working on the pitch. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a huge Dimebag Daryl fan, as you can tell, but somehow he hasn't ever he hasn't ever heard like a Floyd Rose guitar, so that's how he comes up with those kind of weird sounds. It's cool.
Fascinating. Because there's this like one part where I'm trying to play. I'm like, I'll
What's
just
going
play
on? Yeah.
something. I don't know. But I definitely agree. It does sound like Cancer. I think the song structure is very Cancer like.
Hmm.
It's not overly complex, but it's complex enough to keep your attention. Uh, and there's obviously the fifth as being the interval of metal music, but also thrown in some tritones every now and again. Um,
Yeah,
and I feel like the fifth and the tritone, not just for metal, but especially for Cancer, those are some big intervals that are always making their way on the record.
definitely.
And so when you record, I'm assuming it's typical stuff like drums first, guitars and bass, then vocals. But like, do you for this album, were you all together in the same recording session, like hanging out with each other while each of you were tracking, or was it all different spots? What was the process like?
No, actually, well, I mean, I was there when Gabriel was recording drums with John, like for a few hours, because that day I had to work later of the evening, so I was like helping set up and like listening to a few of the takes and stuff like that. Like, and drums actually they were recorded on single takes, not no punch-ins, no editing or anything like that. Which, of course, you need to get like a really good drummer like Gabriel. We're trying to escape like for the like really processed and super polished productions, because I also don't think they fit Cancer. Actually, you listen to some of the other albums, you can hear like all the tempo sweeps, and some parts are off, but it's still like I think it adds to the experience. It's like more nuances. It feels more natural, more special, because I don't know. Cancer's music is really basic, but it's catchy at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it like a super clean production wouldn't work for us. Then yeah, like John recorded his parts on his own, just with the recording engineer, and then I did the same for the bass. Like I was actually the last one to track my parts because of like my work schedules and stuff like that. But yeah, like we had rehearsed a lot, like the three of us, because like Robert actually he joined like around a month and a half before recording his solos. So he pretty much like came in, bang, bang, came up with his leads, and that was that. But yeah, like we did our stuff pretty much separately. Like we some input, we communicated, but I mean we have all played a lot of shows together and done like other albums, so we kind of know what we do.
Yeah. And going back to production, I mean, for me, I think this is the best production album of Cancer's discography. And I'll even say it's my favorite album so far. I mean, like,
Oh,
obviously, the first two albums have been my favorite since every
yeah, I can
release.
understand. Yeah, 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 of course.
And then this album comes out, and for me, it's my favorite automatically. First listen, I was like, okay, it's better. It's more mature. The lyrics are better, more mature, and just listening to it based on John's voice and his pronunciation, I can understand basically everything without trying to understand. But it's still obviously death metal vocals, and I like that. I love brutal stuff that's totally unintelligible that makes you question
Yeah,
these words. But I also love when you can understand it, and John does a good job with that. But for me, the quality of the album is really good. Maybe that has something to do with you guys playing, and maybe it also has something to do with Victor or V Santura for the mixing and mastering. When I saw his name, I was like, okay, that makes sense. He's everything he touches sounds awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
Tristan and so many other bands that he's mixed and mastered. For mixing and mastering, was it like because I'm assuming you sent the files to him, he worked
Yeah,
on them, and was it how many like back and forth sessions was it, or was it just like here's the first take?
it was surprisingly smooth. It was like the easiest mix I've been part of because I mean, like with my other band, with the Eternal Storm, we did an album with Dan Suano, and we spent like, I mean, it wasn't continuously, but it took us almost 1 year to mix the album. But it was, of course, it was different type of music, far longer album, way more tracks and stuff like that. But with Victor, and it was also thanks to Simon, the guitar player of Aversi Humanitatis, who was the recording engineer and who we have already worked with our split with Autopsy and Mortal Skull and Static Abyss. That we, I think, like the foundation of the sound was like really good. And actually, Victor told me like, hey, I had to do like some tweaks to the guitar sound. Like I like the sound, but I had to do some reamps. But the bass sound, I fucking love it. I'm gonna leave it the way you sent it to me. I mean, I'm not saying that because I'm the bass player. It's just what Victor said, and I was like, wow, that's fantastic.
What do
So
you use for the bass? Tell me all the gear.
yeah, I mean, I use a Darkglass Adam with a Tube Screamer and a compressor from TC Electronic, and I got like a Jackson Futura EX Professional, the Japanese from the early '90s that I got back there with lace
Oh yeah.
pickups. Yeah, yeah. I didn't even use like a cabinet, so of course I had like a DI or anything like that, but like the bass tone was still like pretty good. I had like a combination of different like drier, some over like more saturated tones, and yeah, like, I'm like super happy about the way the bass sounds.
Sounds
And
great on the album. It definitely fills the part. Of course, as death metal is, there's much of the album where I don't think of the bass, but that's because it fits so solid. It's the foundation. And obviously, if you didn't have it, then be like, this is so weak and empty. So for me, the bass, the way it's mixed and performed, fits perfectly. There are, of course, some audible licks throughout the album. You're like, hey, there is a bass.
yeah, but
But
I mean, I can play like a lot like outside the box, not with Cancer, because I need to be like the missing link between the guitars and the drums. But at least I gotta get like a proper tone, so everything sounds heavier and with more balls. That's what I have to do.
mhm. And now connecting Cancer with Eternal Storm, I
Mhm.
think it would be cool if you guys did a tour together because it's you in both of them. But also, they're totally different, but they still, death metal holds them together. Totally different bands, but let's pretend. Let's say you're on your dream tour, or you start to book a dream tour, and it could be like a festival run, or just like
Mhm.
a 2 week whatever, something to fit everyone's schedules. But Cancer, Eternal Storm, and two more bands. What do you have? What's your lineup?
I mean, I would love to tour like maybe Incantation because I really like the guys. They're like super nice people. But I mean, it can be like either Incantation or Obituary or Carcass because they're like, you know, not that different from Cancer, and they will have like some history together. And they're like great people, great bands. They're bigger than us, but still, I think we get a good combination, and maybe like some younger bands like I know it could be from Skeletal Remains to Flesh Rot to well Malignant Altar if they were still active. They're like a lot of well actually this side I would say because we have played with them many times and you're wearing the t-shirt now that I see, and I mean I feel like the D side is sort of like Cancer. They're like a band that a lot of people they were like they're done, and then they're coming like fucking strong. And you see these high life these days, and they've never been that fucking tired, man. They're incredible. Like Glenn is playing bass incredibly. Like he also always got like a bad rep because he wasn't like a good bass player, and you can tell like he's a fucking phenomenal bass player, an incredible singer. Kevin and Taylor they kill it, and Steve is one of the tightest. drummers out there. Still, he fucking has it, man. And we played with them 3 times already, and it's a fucking masterpiece every time we see them live. Yeah,
Awesome. I know that obviously Inverted World just came out, and I'm assuming I always assume bands have multiple albums already lined up because for a lot of my bands we have albums lined up.
yeah.
Um, so do you, well, I guess do you have song ideas that you ever offer to John, or are you always just like, hey John, whenever you're ready, send me the stuff.
For the time being, it's just like we're letting John do his thing because like I don't know, he still has a lot of riffs in his well of death metal, and he actually we're like jamming like 2 days ago, and he was like, yeah, I want to do another album soon. I'm already working. I have a couple of songs that I'm gonna send you some riffs. So, I mean, there's no need for us to interfere with his songwriting, especially because he knows what like what direction he has to take. It's just like then when we get together, we just add our own spice and everything like that, and we help building something together. But I mean, John has been like the main writer of Cancer for 30, almost 35 years now, I think. Oh, I mean, it's almost no, like 37 years actually. So, I mean, why bother? I mean, if someone comes up with a cool riff, well, I guess he will take it, but there's no need to do that at this stage.
Mhm. That's obviously phenomenal. Like 37 years of existence of a death metal band. Obviously, they started in the era where you could just pick a simple name and you're the only one.
Yeah.
Cancer, very lucky, very sick name. But obviously, like it's a legendary band. I know they haven't. You guys, Cancer throughout the history hasn't become like one of the top death metal bands like of the world. But for me, it was one of the first death metal bands I listened to. I'm originally from Florida, and
Hmm.
I remember I was like 11 or 12, and my friend and I were at this CD store or record store, and we were looking at the CDs, and there's a whole section on Florida death metal. I was like, oh, that's sick. We're from Florida. We're in
Yeah.
Florida, and there's death metal. So obviously we saw Death and Cynic and Atheist, Obituary, Morbid Angel, Deicide, and then near the section there was this band called Cancer. I'm like, oh my god, another sick band name. And then my friend's like, oh yeah, they're like English. I'm like, what? Why are they in the Florida section? And
Yeah.
we didn't know at the time, but it's because of Scott Burns, obviously. And you mentioned
And
with
James.
yeah, and what you mentioned obviously James Murphy, super sick on the second album, and vocalist of Obituary doing some vocals on Cancer's work, and just that collaboration there. So I could see how it's kind of grouped in the Florida scene,
Yeah.
even though it's not, and now it's no longer English, it's Spanish for sure. Um, but I guess final question or comments. What do you guys have planned? What's the next shows, tours, festivals you guys got planned and announced?
This Saturday we're playing in Belgium at Antwerp Metal Fest. We're playing with Madball, hardcore band from New York. It's gonna be cool because we're gonna get to play to a different audience. With Sinister from the Netherlands and a few other bands. Then we don't have anything until July where we're playing one festival in Hungary called Rock Marathon. It's like a mainstream open air festival, but we're playing with I think like Powerwolf bands like that. But there's like some stream metal bands like Lick from Sweden, which are pretty cool actually, kind of like Dismember style. Then we're doing Inflamed open air with Malevolent Creation, Massacre, Vader, Triumph of Death. It's a fantastic lineup. We're doing Obscene Stream the next day. Then we're doing another German festival called Pure fucking Metal Evil or something like that. Yeah, festivals just like bands that ran out of cool names, I guess, but it should be fun. Then we're going to Canada and we're playing a show in Toronto in yeah, like 1st of August with Rip to Shreds, Sedimentum, which are a fucking sick Canadian death metal band, which I can
Totally, they
fucking
rip.
literally. Yeah, that's super nice people. I mean, I've been in touch with them for probably since their first 7 inch, I think. They got a split with like Total Isolation, I believe, which is like really good. And then I started talking to them on Instagram, and then yeah, like I can't wait to finally meet them in real life and see them live, and they're gonna be fucking amazing. And then we have like a couple of shows in the UK. We're doing Ireland, with Dublin, and we're doing London. We're playing Killtown Festival. And yeah, like for the time being, we're doing like one-offs because I mean we still have our day jobs and families and stuff like that, so it's a bit hard to balance. But I really hope that we'll get to do like a proper tour. Like I know like the band hasn't done like a proper tour since like yeah, in the US since 1993 with the Santura, which is really I mean I was born that year, just so you get an idea.
In 98?
93.
Oh,
Sorry,
93. Okay, I
93,
was
yeah.
just 1 year before.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, and then so I mean, I really hope that now that with the new album, we'll make it work out. I'd love to come back to the US and like make it to Denver, for instance. I've never been there, and I got a lot of friends from Dreadnought, for instance. So yeah, that'll be nice.
Awesome. All right, now one final band to recommend. It doesn't have to be from Spain. Just like maybe a band you've been listening to, and you're like, people need to check this out.
That's let me see. I have like so many answers right now that I don't know what to choose. I really like VoidCeremony, for instance, from
They're
California.
amazing.
They're fantastic. Garrett. Yeah, Damon from Stargazer. Yeah, he's a fucking sick bass player. Well, he's a fantastic multi instrumentalist. He also plays guitar in Mortal Congregation and sings. I think he played drums at some point at not in Portal. I think he played bass as well. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, like VoidCeremony is a really, really, really cool band. Like they got like it's not your average like technical death metal band. They got like a fusion vibe, and like they used to have Charlie Corin from who's playing now in Incantation, Morbid Angel, Funebrarum, Ascended Death. He's like one of the best drummers of this generation and a fantastic guy. So yeah, like they're the best band I can think of. But they're like, I mean, right now I feel like I mean I don't like to use the word scene, but there's like the genre. It's in a fantastic shape. You get like I know like Cemetery Field from Atlanta and Florida. They're super good as well. Lovely people. I mean, I could be name dropping bands for ages, man. Like,
yeah. Pues muchísimas gracias. Espero que disfrutes.
Gracias a ti, Kevin.
De la noche y pues hasta la próxima.
Enjoy, Emperor.
Chao, chao.